We are the P.O.W podcast, and we hit you with the facts. I'm Olivia.
I'm Emma.
And I'm Hannah. Today we're going to talk about the election and our new president, Joe Biden. So, to start, let's talk about this, just the three of us, and then later we can invite a few guests to speak more about the matter. Olivia, what did you think about the election?
Well, the entire weekend I was watching the election on CNN. You guys know it? Yeah. Okay. So I just thought it was extremely slow, so it just built up suspense, and it just, I was going insane. Anyway, Emma, how did you think about it?
Yeah, Olivia. I watched it on CNN too. I even bought the app so I could watch it all day long. I was scared and I thought they would never finish counting the votes, but CNN was very informative and it was very informative.
Yeah, I really like how CNN had everything at the bottom, so it was easy to tell. But that's cool. I thought it was really exciting too, and I got to spend the whole weekend watching TV with my family and my friends.
Yeah, it was fun.
We watched it for 4 hours altogether on election day. It was funny how every time someone got an electoral vote, we all just gasped.
Yeah, that was really funny. So, about the election. The election presidential races are typically front page news throughout the whole election year. But Biden and Trump's campaign took a backseat to the COVID-19 pandemic this past spring. In addition, social distancing guidelines were necessary to slow the spread of the virus, eliminating traditional campaign staples such as handshakes, rallies, and selfies with the supporters. Both presidential candidates have opted for virtual town halls instead of in-person campaign events. They also used social media and the internet to reach potential voters.
Yeah, this year way more people voted, which is amazing. I can't wait till I vote.
Me too, Olivia. Wait, but hold on, Hannah. How might the pandemic affect voting?
Traditional voting is still optional, but limits on how many people can enter a polling place at once can vary. But experts predict that many Americans will vote by mail-in or absentee ballots instead, which they were correct. Absentee voters request and submit ballots in person or by mail before Election Day. A handful of states, including Oregon and Washington, already conduct elections entirely by mail, which is amazing. Nearly 2/3 let residents vote by absentee ballot for any reason whatsoever. Olivia, I heard you were very fond of women's rights. Can you tell me some more about it?
Sure, Hannah. So for voting, New Jersey allowed women to vote prior to 1807. Single women, that is. Married women were assumed to be represented by their husbands, but single women participated in elections regularly. That was until claims of fraud, including men dressing like women and voting multiple times, caused the law to be amended and voting rights were stripped away from women. They were given to women nationwide in 1920, though only in theory for Black women, but to wait for Voting Rights Act in 1965 to pass their voices could actually be heard.
Whoa, I didn't know that. I heard that some suffragists, such as Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, chose the former, scorning the 15th Amendment, while forming the National Women's Suffrage Association to try to win the passage of federal universal suffrage amendment.
Health
check.
The CDC recommends the following measures to slow the spread of the virus and to protect people who are at an increased risk of severe illness. You should social distance, wear a mask when social distancing is not possible, and avoid crowds. What else is there, guys?
You should wash your hands as often as you can with soap and water.
And if you hang out with your friends, make sure you wear a mask and stay 6 feet away from each other. Extra, watch all about it.
On this week's episode, we have guests. We asked them questions about the election, and here are their responses.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Casey. During this election, of 2020, I would say that I felt stressed. I think I felt a lot of emotions, but I think the strongest one I felt was stressed, and for a couple reasons. The first one being that the country felt very divided, and we hear that a lot in the news and in our media, but it did feel that way. It kind of felt either you were pro-Trump or you were against Trump, and I just found that very isolating and hard to deal with. And the other reason I thought that it was really stressful was because the process took a long time. Even though we were warned that it was going to take a number of days, I do think that those number of days felt like weeks rather than days. So I think those two things together made it a stressful election process. And then even after the election, I did feel like our country is in a watershed moment, a historical moment, where we will be talking about this election and this time for many, many years. And President Trump, whether you support him or not, he will have long effects on the country and what the country looks like from a domestic stance, and then also from the point of view of other countries. I think that will stick around with us for a really long time. And then who did I think was going to win before I knew? I think the polls, based on reading the polls, both the Republican and the Democratic polls, I did think that Biden was going to win. I think that was what we were led to believe. However, I am from a very red state, and so I think I was a little bit more aware that there are a lot of Trump supporters that I don't know if people were as aware of that as I think I was, just because I was exposed to it. And a couple things that I am excited that Biden has promised to do, two main things, and they have to do with my profession and also me personally. The number one thing I'm really excited about is that Biden has promised to put an educator in the seat of Secretary of Education. I think it's super important to have someone that knows what it's like to be in a classroom, and in just views of teachers and educators in general to be in that position. I think it's an important role and a necessary requirement for that role. And the second thing I'm really excited about is that he has promised to include universal preschool. So all preschoolers would be able to go to school for free, and I think that that would be a great thing for our country, for parents, moms, and dads, kind of all around. I think that would be a great thing. So those are the two things that I'm really excited that Biden has promised, and we will see what the 4 years have in store for us.
Hi, my name is Lulu. During the election process, I was super excited because I saw that Joe Biden had been winning. I felt stunned and happy after we found out that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had won the presidential election of 2020. I believe that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were going to win the election of 2020 throughout the entire process because during their debates, they were speaking to us, Americans, and telling us how they can change the U.S. So I had total faith in them that they could actually change us and our country. One thing that I was excited about that Joe Biden had promised us is that they will not raise the taxes for those who do not make more than $400,000 each year. I'm really excited about this promise because a lot of people work really hard, and it's really hard for them to get money and regularly receive money because they have to work really hard to support their family and friends, and it's really stressful for them. So I really hope that this promise will come true in the future. I was not able to vote this year because I'm underage, but if I were able to vote, I would have voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, so that makes me a Democrat. I can say that the election of 2020 was way different than the last couple of years.
Quick facts. As the coronavirus crisis has unfolded, Biden has looked for ways to help voters picture him as commander-in-chief, formulating recommendations rooted in advice from healthcare and economic experts. Those suggestions include making coronavirus tests broadly accessible and free. He has said there should be no out-of-pocket costs for patients to receive an eventual vaccine either. And he has been sharply critical of President Trump's response to the virus, accusing him of reacting too slowly, which in my opinion, I think is true.
It's an issue that Joe Biden often discusses in the context of his family's personal tragedies. He lost his first wife and an infant daughter in a car accident in 1972, and in 2015, his son, Beau Biden, who died of brain cancer. Healthcare, he said, as in an early television ad, is personal to him.
Another quick fact is, with her ascension to vice presidency, Ms. Harris will become the first woman and first woman of color to hold that office, a milestone for a nation where most conflict includes women. Ms. Harris embodies the future of a country that is growing more racially diverse. Ms. Harris is my role model because of how confident she is in supporting things that she believes are right.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the P.O.W podcast.
This was Olivia,
Emma,
And Hannah.
signing off.
set, action.
7, 8.
And